This is the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Baby Botox has been all the rage. And if you don't know what that is, it's a smaller dose of Botox for those who are in their younger years who maybe don't really need it yet, or think they need it, or they want to start slow. Now, this is becoming increasingly more common in the late teens and early 20s. It has become normal. I can't tell you the number of people I know who have been getting baby Botox for years, starting well into their early 20s. Of course, there's that question of how do you afford it? Well, there's good Botox, there's bad Botox. I think we've seen a little bit of both. But I think this ties in to a much bigger picture. And I hope you'll kind of stay with me through this, because there's a lot to be said in what's happening surrounding the reconstruction and the identification of our bodies. It goes as far as the transgender crisis that we're experiencing. It goes into, hey, I just want to get some Botox. I don't like the way my face looks. I would feel more confident. But there's much more going on. Now, look at the trend. The American Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery reported a significant rise in facial plastic surgeries in 2021, and it only increases. In fact, a 40% increase in 2021. Now, move that to 2024, their annual survey indicated that 92% of facial plastic surgeons reported treating male patients, highlighting a growing trend of men seeking cosmetic procedures themselves. I've also seen this. Now, you may say, okay, Timmerie, you live in California. That I do. I live in Southern California. But the trend toward plastic surgery for the very buoyant, young, fresh faces has become normal. The movement even for men to make those adjustments. And I remember one of my closest friends growing up had his ears clipped back. Someone who had ears that were a little more out and larger, and as a young boy actually had them pinned back. It was a big deal to him. And there are different things that might be done that can absolutely help boost in a small way someone's confidence. But if their confidence, their self-worth, their self-value is so hung up on that reconstructive surgery, where do we navigate this? Well, I have been very intrigued by the growing trend on social media to show your colors and say, hey, I don't get Botox. I don't get fillers. Or to say, I regret that I had this done. And you're seeing this trend growing even among celebrity Hollywood. Now, you may say, what's the big deal? They can afford it. They can do what they want. Well, a lot of them are saying, nope, never mind. No, thank you. Now, one who's been quite outspoken for quite a while now has been Cameron Diaz, the Charlie's Angels star, well known in the early 2000s for many rom-coms. And she said some time ago, she had a book that she wrote, The Body Book, back in 2014, so about 10 years ago, where she spoke quite a bit about body image, and in particular, Botox came up. And she said this, I'd rather see my face aging than see a face that doesn't belong to me at all. She said that she had had a little bit of Botox during the height of her career, and she said it changed my face in such a weird way. I'd rather see my face aging than a face that doesn't belong to me at all. That led her to embrace natural aging, laugh and smile lines, because she grew to become fond of those features, to find self-acceptance, and to really see the unrealistic beauty standards that our culture has. Now, her book came out in 2014. Think about the change in pressure just in the last 11 years surrounding body image and the growing trend to body dysmorphia. What's body dysmorphia exactly, you might ask? It's where you imagine, want, believe, or even worry about your body's shape or appearance, to the point of wanting to alter it. Now, this goes as far as the transgender culture we live in to just the rejection. Not even, and if you look at the transgender culture we live in, even the use of testosterone for this growing group of young females who are transitioning, a little bit of testosterone helps in boosting courage, confidence, helps to redistribute weight that you might feel uncomfortable with or be rejecting. all of those things that lead a lot of young females to be uncomfortable. So on one side, you have the ladies, the young girls, the teenagers, the early 20-year-olds who are swinging to, let's get some tea to help make me feel different. And it does. It's euphoric. It helps you feel better for a while. And then we have this plummet in crisis of all these teenagers and 20-something-year-olds coming off of their cross-sex hormones that are doing permanent damage, and God willing, they didn't have a cross-sex surgery to go along with it that they also have to try and reverse, but you can't fully reverse and fully regain the natural function of your body. So Cameron Diaz is one of many. There's been this joke made, and I hear this, I see this among friends and a lot of my peers. The joke is, well, it'll be like the super Catholics will be the wrinkly, sagging, and fat ones. And it'll be everyone else who has embraced the cosmetic, plastic surgery, Botox world. And you'll know who's Catholic and you'll know who isn't. And I don't think it's as simple as that. I've seen a lot of Catholics who are very much so up in this trend. And again, yes, I live in California, so perhaps I see it a bit more, but what happens in California happens across the country, so you might be on the trend sooner or later. But there's also a lot of social media buzz about who doesn't do plastic surgery beyond Cameron Diaz. You look at Kylie Jenner, who has spoken highly, along with many others, regretting her breast implants. The hopes that her daughter would never do the same. Kylie was 19 years old when she started getting her work done. And now she's very outspoken about how she hopes her daughter never wants to do so, especially as young as 19. Which, by the way, one side note that no one's talking about, all these young females who are going through with breast implants, they can't nurse their babies when the time comes. Which is fascinating when you see someone like Kylie Jenner, who has commented saying that motherhood helped her love her body and herself. Up until then, yes, she was struggling with body image. Ariana Grande, I didn't know this. Ariana Grande's 31 years old now. 7 years ago, she stopped doing all her lip fillers and Botox. I stopped in 2018 because I just felt so too much. I just felt like I was hiding. I want to see my well-earned cry lines and smile lines. I hope my smile lines get deeper and deeper and I laugh more and more. And that reminds me a little bit of Courtney Cox. She realized after years of just getting a little bit of injection at a time. A little bit of injection at a time. A doctor would say, oh, let's just do a little bit of filler here. She said it eventually led to a change she says she didn't fully recognize in her own face. And it became increasingly altered over time. She actually decided to reverse many of her facial fillers, and she talked a lot about it as long ago as 2017. But I love that she said those aren't wrinkle lines, those are smile lines. Now, I've always been struck, and I laugh at it, but I'm always surprised. I kid you not. When I will be on social media doing a live video or maybe doing a short video, 1 out of 2 times, if not more often, some woman always has to comment that I shouldn't be so expressive because I have wrinkles and they're only going to get worse and I'm going to need face work done. I'm just surprised. More than anything, I'm not even offended. I'm just surprised that someone is so bold as to say something like that. Now, let me make it even worse. I haven't had my kids really on social media for about 1.5 years. So one of the last times would have been close to 2 years ago, which means my oldest daughter, would have been closer to 2.5, under the age of 3, when she was last on my social media at all. People were commenting that my 2.5-year-old, that I needed to teach her not to be so expressive because it was going to be bad for the lines in her face. I think that was the moment where I was so astounded that I needed to tell my daughter to not be expressive and joyful and smile and reactive and shocked and intrigued and sorrowful because it would be bad for the lines in her face. So as you see this trend on social media, more and more people talking about not getting Botox, not getting fillers, or regretting it. Well, on the flip side, there's this massive increase in plastic reconstructive surgery. Now, we're not even mentioning, for example, people think Botox is absolutely harmless. Well, a lot of people are waking up just like they did with breast plants all those years ago. Women have black mold and all these autoimmune diseases from the breast implants. Well, guess what? The same thing's happening from the Botox. It's causing severe autoimmune reactions, food allergies. You're literally pumping your face with toxins. Not to mention the fact, can we just mention you're paralyzing muscles in your face? So it's very logical you paralyze muscles in your face. And then you need more Botox later on because you're compensating for the damaged and atrophied muscles that you've created. So, and this is significant. Why? Because a lot of people are doing baby Botox. Teenagers, 20-year-olds. This is normal today. And there are a lot of people who aren't doing it who wish they were, or who aren't doing it who, well, maybe I should, or because everyone else is doing it, it's against something I would do, but I feel less significant or less confident because I'm not. There are a lot of people who won't do Botox, filler, plastic surgery, anything, but because the normalcy of it, their sense of self-worth and comfort in their own skin is declining. Now, this could be a much bigger topic to dive into, but I want to take a look for a moment at the 2023 USCCB, the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops document that came out. It's a doctrinal note on the moral limits to technological manipulation of the human body. Now, this is relevant because I think a lot of people like to consider this in light of artificial intelligence, AI, transhumanism, transgenderism, but this strikes at the core of our identity, confidence, peace with self as human beings, and it touches directly on the topic of everything from baby Botox to straight up plastic surgery and body dysmorphia that a lot of people are experiencing. There are a lot of people who experience bodily dysmorphia who have no experience of transgenderism, but the two go hand in hand. Again, body dysmorphia, imagining, wanting, believing, or worrying about your body's shape and appearance. What teen girl hasn't in one way or another, but the problem is that it lingers and it doesn't go away. Yes, in part because of our filter social media culture, always posting, but it's more than that. So this document from the United States Catholic Conference of Bishops is so beautifully written. It's addressing the modification of appearance, which at the core is exactly what we're discussing. Not just with transgenderism, but any modification of appearance. It says modern technology, however, produces possibilities not only for helpful interventions, but interventions that are injurious to the true flourishing of the human person. And because of this, it says we have to engage in careful moral discernment, discerning which possibilities should be realized and which should not. It says a fundamental tenet of the Christian faith is that there is an order to the natural world that was designed by its creator, and that this created order is good. That means our bodies are good, even in all our differences and quirks as individual human beings. Problem is that we're living, as Father Robert Spitzer often discusses, in that second level of happiness of comparison. How do I look and measure up in comparison to the other? And then I base my happiness, my self-worth, on how I measure up. So I get the nose job. I get the baby Botox. I have that changed complexion. It goes on to discuss how Pope Benedict XVI explained that the natural world has an inbuilt order, a grammar that sets forth ends and criteria for its wise use, not its reckless exploitation. We'll tie that to the naturalness of aging, the naturalness of smile and laugh and sure, frown lines as well. Pope Francis warned against a technological paradigm that treats the natural world as something formless, completely open to manipulation. I think that's how we've begun to think of our own bodies, our own faces in particular, formless and open to manipulation. The document goes on to say, human nature deserves utmost respect since humanity occupies a singular place in the created order, being created in the image of God. You see, we don't own our human nature, it says, as if it was something that is free and we can do anything we please with it. But in fact, technology must be limited and we have to respect the created order and how we navigate and view our bodies. We're not just sand to play with and make a sandcastle or whatever we want to make. We're human beings who are body and soul. And the two are what make up the human person. There's a great discontinuity today in this body dysmorphia and the transgenderism and the baby Botox culture that is eating away at the soul of so many. And I think the real solution that's important that we touch on is body literacy, understanding and valuing the body for boys and girls into adulthood. Having that identity solidified through parental relationships, mentorship, and how ultimately we're looking for a sense of belonging that can only be found in God.
You can join me and listen on the Relevant Radio app to Trending with Timmerie live each weekday at 6 p.m. Central. Thanks for listening.